Oh yeah, is it Thursday already? Dafne Keen, the star or a star of the Acolyte season 1, has finally spoken up about the cancellation of the second season. Oscar Isaac, who plays Poe Dameron in the sequel trilogy, is rumored to be returning and will be at Star Wars Celebration this year, celebrating the 10-year anniversary of The Force Awakens at the beginning of the sequel trilogy. And the Bad Batch story continues. We got a new Bad Batch story coming to us that takes place in between, or at the end, actually, of season 2, towards the end of season 2 of the Bad Batch. So we got a lot to get into and not a lot of time. Star Wars Celebration is right around the corner. Andor season 2 is right around the corner, and we still don't have a trailer. So without further ado, let's dive into all of it. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing on this fine Thursday afternoon? Okay, so we talked about this a little bit on last stream, but still no Andor season 2 trailer. Very, very strange. We are about 2.5 months away from this second season of the Andor show, second and final season, actually. And there is still no teaser trailer. Not even a teaser, not an official trailer, no nothing. However, we did get a new image of Cassian Andor that was released, I believe, yesterday, which is pretty cool. But we are talking today about the Acolyte, a possible return of Poe Dameron in the Rey movie, and what George Nolfi, who is the new writer of the Rey movie, had to say, and why people actually see this as good news for the Rey movie, which doesn't seem to happen quite that often here. Good news for the Rey movie, and the Bad Batch story continues. So we got a lot to get into. A lot to get into today. And not really a lot of time, as we usually have. So I don't even know where to start, chat. Where should we start? Well, first, we got to start by saying hi to everybody in the chat. Jeez, I'm off the ball today. Let's first start by saying hi to everybody in the chat, shall we? Let's start there. Starwell, what's up? 50 Thunder, how we doing? John Groom in the house. Lee, what is up? UV Clips, how we doing? WUV Grad, how we doing? Sorry about that. Melissa, what's up? Freddie, how we doing? Brandon Baker in the house. Chris, what is up? Rachel, how we doing? Mace Cameron, how we doing? Nathan, what is up? Fearless, how we doing? If I missed you, you know the deal. Just yell at me in the chat. Darth Plagueis, what's up? Skywalker Academy, how we doing? If I missed you, just yell at me in the chat. Let's give everybody a nice little...
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Okay, so I really don't know where to start today. I mean, do we start with the Acolyte stuff? Do we start with the Rey movie stuff? Bad Batch stuff? Where do we want to start, chat? Where should we start today? Should we pull it up? Should we pull it up? Holly, what's up? At the beginning? Well, let's start at the beginning. The Acolyte stuff? Okay. Vader didn't kill Watto? Well, I'm pretty sure he did. The Bad Batch stuff? Do a poll. All right, we'll pull it up. We'll pull it up. If you haven't smashed a freaking like on this stream, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. That's what that first poll said to do. So don't ever go against the poll, or you'll turn to the dark side. Okay, let's do this. What should we start with? That's the question of the day. What should we start with? We'll go with the Acolyte. We'll go with the Bad Batch. Rey movie. I guess the Rey movie stuff encompasses a lot of things. The George Nolfi news, the Oscar Isaac stuff, Star Wars Celebration, all that stuff. So I guess those are the three options, right? Am I missing something? I don't think I'm missing anything. All right. What do we want to start with? What should we start with today, chat? Get the Acolyte out of the way. I don't know about that. Usually it tends to happen when I start talking about the Acolyte. It just keeps on going. It just keeps on going. But let's see. Let's see what you guys want to start with. Drinking out of the nice Ahsoka mug today. Ahsoka Season 2 has got me so hyped up. It's insane. Go in alphabetical order. Okay. All right. It seems like you guys are agreeing on the Acolyte starting us off. Okay. I'm good with that. So The Acolyte, of course, has been canceled for its second season. This happened a long, long time ago, back in August of last year. So we're talking about, August, September, October, November, December, January, February now. Almost 7 months ago, this second season for The Acolyte was canceled. And whether you like the show or not, some fans were really devastated by the news. Some fans were really ecstatic about the news. It was a very split bag, to say the least. People having very, very strong opinions one way or the other on The Acolyte. Now, we won't really dive into too much in fast forward to 5 minutes later when I'm talking so much about The Acolyte. But we won't really talk too much about The Acolyte today in whether you like it or not. We're just going to talk about what Dafne Keen had to say. So Dafne Keen, who's probably most known for her role as X-23 in Logan and Deadpool and Wolverine, spoiler alert, she played the character of Jecki. Jecki in the Acolyte series. Her character has come to a very infamous end in that 5th episode called Night, where our boy Kymir, or the Stranger, whatever you want to call him, stabs her in the chest 3 times, killing her. Right after that, he goes and snaps Yord's neck as well. But that's a pretty epic episode. That's besides the point. Her character is dead, so she wouldn't even be in a second season. However, neither would Soul, neither would Yord, and we've heard from these actors before. We heard from Amandla, we heard from Lee, we heard from all these different characters, or actors I should say, who played characters in the first season, except for Dafne Keen. And now, she opens up. She speaks out about the time that she spent with the first season and what she thinks about the cancellation for this second season. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Because these characters' stories will continue in prequel novels. We know that for a fact. One comes out in a couple months here. And one actually will be about Jecki, about Dafne Keen's character. So let's take a look at this. This is coming from comicbook.com. Let's take a gander at this. Star Wars The Acolytes details emotional response to the show's cancellation. Star Wars The Acolyte star Dafne Keen, who this is Jecki, by the way, right there, if you forgot, who played the young Padawan Jecki, shares her response to the show being canceled after one single season. At the Saturn Awards, which, by the way, we talked about this last stream, but the Saturn Awards for Star Wars was pretty damn good. Rosario Dawson wins Best Actress in a TV Show. The Bad Batch wins Best Animated Show. Somebody else won something. I'm forgetting what it is. But Star Wars did pretty damn well at the Saturn Awards. But the actress spoke with Screen Rant and opened up about Disney pulling the plug on The Acolyte. This is a little snippet. We'll get to what she actually says fully later. But she says, it's definitely, I think, overwhelming for all of us, the entire cast and crew. Keen says, describing the mixed emotions of the cast and crew. While the situation was certainly disappointing for everyone involved, Keen added that we are still very proud of what we created, as they should be. The Acolyte's fantastic. In particular, she praised The Acolyte's star, Amandla Steinberg, for how she handled the aftermath. As she says this, reflecting on her time in the galaxy far, far away, Keen is happy she was able to be a part of the Star Wars project, as she says, and honestly, I'm a huge nerd myself, and I was just really happy that I got to play a Jedi. Bucket list ticked off. So, obviously, if you're an actor in Hollywood who's seen Star Wars, like Star Wars, is a big nerd, then you're going to want to be in Star Wars. And Dafne Keen got the best role of a lifetime, being a Jedi in Star Wars. And not only that, her death, was pretty damn cool too. So she got to be in Star Wars, get this awesome send-off in Star Wars, and even though that show didn't get a second season, her character had a beginning, or I guess not really a beginning, but a middle and an end. Yeah. Okay, well, let's keep going. Shortly after The Acolyte's lone season wrapped last summer, Disney officially canceled the series, citing high costs as The Acolyte had a $230 million budget. The show's creative team had planned to develop additional seasons, possibly 3, following up with the Darth Plagueis and Yoda cameos featured in the finale. In the months since Disney's decision, other Acolyte cast members have shared their reactions. Manny Jacinto, who portrayed the fan-favorite character The Stranger, fan favorite's an understatement, said that now his life goal to get season 2 off the ground, which is pretty great. When you got a guy like Manny Jacinto, who plays one of the greatest characters in Star Wars, saying that it's his life goal to get a second season, then that gives fans who want a second season a lot of hope. Honestly, for me, as much as I love the first season of The Acolyte, I think I've sort of come to terms with the fact that there's not going to be a second season. So if there is, in fact, a second season at some point later down the line, then it will just be like an added bonus. Like, I've already sort of gotten over the fact that we're not getting a second season. It's not worth sort of just sticking to the past, I guess. The fact of the matter is, I can go back and watch The Acolyte's first season over and over again on Disney+. Do I want a second season? Absolutely. But do I think we're going to get one? Probably not. So if there ever is one, if Manny Jacinto's life goal to get this second season off the ground ever actually is accomplished, then it will be a surprise to be sure, and a very, very welcome one. But while The Acolyte won't be getting a second season, Lucasfilm is using other mediums to further explore the show's characters. Jecki and Jord, who both died in the show, will be featured in an upcoming canon novel called The Crystal Crown. The book releases in July of this year. Wookiee Jedi Kelnaka was the focus of the prequel comic, published last September. They didn't. There's another book coming out, right? They don't talk about that? Yeah, there's another book about Vanestra Rho and Indara. And that's like years and years before The Acolyte. But The Acolyte's showrunner, Leslie Headland, envisioned 3 seasons when she began working on the series. Though Jecki died in the 5th episode, it's likely that Keen was aware of Headland's long-term goals, making her reaction to the cancellation understandable. Because, of course, this story would have continued for a lot longer than just the one season. As a fan, it was probably thrilling for her to portray a Jedi and help set the stage for potentially a new era of Star Wars storytelling. So that's a big deal when we talk about The Acolyte, is the fact that it's not in the Skywalker saga, and it's one of the first projects ever, or no, it is the first canon project ever, to be created outside the Skywalker saga. In live action, yes. So the problem with that is the sort of lack of success with this Acolyte series. Now, I liked it quite a bit. I know a lot of you liked it quite a bit. But there's so many fans that really, really didn't like it for one reason or another. And that's fine. I mean, not everybody's going to like everything. However, the budget for the show, the lack of viewership numbers for the show, and I think the biggest thing of all is the conversation around in the fandom when that show was being aired, caused it to be canceled for a second season. But the bigger issue here as Star Wars fans, whether or not we get a second season of The Acolyte or not, doesn't matter. The bigger issue here as Star Wars fans is the fact that that was the first attempt to leave the Skywalker saga. The first attempt. So now when you're going to say, oh, why have we not left the Skywalker saga yet? Why are we focusing so much on Andor, the time period between the prequels and the originals, the time period that we've dubbed the Mandoverse in between the originals and the sequels? Why are we focusing so much on the Skywalker saga when there's thousands of years outside of it? Well, it's because the first attempt to do so, the first attempt to leave the Skywalker saga was The Acolyte. And we all know what happened with that. So that's a big issue. That is a very big issue that not many people are talking about. The reason that so many of these projects that are being announced and have been announced and we've gotten for the last 6 years on Disney Plus all take place in the Skywalker saga and will probably continue to is because of that. Is because of their lack of success when they try to leave the Skywalker saga. The High Republic books don't perform well. The Acolyte show was forced to be canceled after just one season. So there's one big project on the horizon that does take us away from the Skywalker saga, and that is James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi movie. And the amount of pressure and importance that are put upon that movie and James Mangold and Mr. Willimon, who's a writer with him, is insane. Like, absolutely insane. The success that movie needs to have. Not maybe. If it's a flop, it's okay. No! It needs to have this massive success because it will be the first movie to ever be released outside the Skywalker saga. And it will be the next attempt to leave the Skywalker saga after The Acolyte. So it needs to be this massive success. And it's very, very difficult to do. When you talk about the Dawn of the Jedi movie, you're talking about the first ever Jedi, the first ever lightsabers, first ever Force users. That's already an established Legends story for a lot of fans. And we've already seen how Legends can affect people's perspective on canon. But who you cast as the first ever Jedi is extremely important. How they build the first ever lightsaber is extremely important. Does it involve Tython? Is it the real story that we know from Legends? Or are they going to change it? All of that is extremely important for what the future of Star Wars looks like. Because here's the deal. If Dawn of the Jedi bombs, we're never going to see another project outside the Skywalker saga. We will get to see every single weekend that Darth Vader has ever spent in the Star Wars galaxy before we ever leave the Skywalker saga again if Dawn of the Jedi fails. Yeah. So that's what's riding on this Dawn of the Jedi movie. But let's talk about this Acolyte show again. It was the first time, a first attempt in live action to leave the Skywalker saga. Well, let's keep going. The Acolyte was the first time that Lucasfilm depicted the High Republic era on screen, telling a narrative far removed from the Skywalker saga while still having some key connections. Of course, there's always the connection of the Force, the Jedi, the Sith, and all that stuff. But, for it to fall apart before the plan was fully realized had to have been a devastating blow for the cast and crew and Lucasfilm as a whole. When you leave the Skywalker saga for the first time, you don't want that to be the reception of the product. Especially the Acolyte being subject to review bombing throughout its brief run. Even before its brief run, it was being review bombed. It comes into the premiere with a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah. Had the Acolyte continued, it would have been interesting to see what Headland and her team had in store. Those Plagueis and Yoda teases were tantalizing morsels that had potential to deliver some exciting twists and turns. Perhaps the show's story will continue through some other avenues like books or comics or who knows. The cancellation didn't stop Lucasfilm from bringing the Acolyte characters to publishing material. So still, we're getting those prequel novels about Jecki and Yord, about Vanestra Rowe and Indara. So there might be a future there, considering how much the Acolyte left unresolved. It would be nice if some novels or comics gave us a proper conclusion that it deserved. That seems to be a lot of, obviously some fans really, really love the show, like myself. But there's even some fans who are like, the show is pretty good, but I just want to see the ending. I want to see where this goes. How is Plagueis really connected to Chimere or the Stranger? And how are the Jedi not going to find out about this? What was the connection between Chimere and Vanestra? Is he really her Padawan? All that stuff. So that's sort of what people wanted to see. And maybe that will be answered in some other projects or some other books or comics or some sort of other type of media. But right now it doesn't look that way. At least from afar, it does not look that way. But having said that, finally, Dafne Keen has opened up and given her 2 cents about how she feels about the cancellation of this show. She's obviously bummed out about it, but I have her full quote here. Let me get that, because that was just pieces of what she said, and this is the full thing. What the hell? Oh, here we go. I closed it by accident, but here we go. Yeah, found it. So this is what she had to say, full thing here. Dafne Keen, who played the Jecki Loon, sure, was asked about the show, axed after only one season, and said this: "It's definitely, I think, overwhelming for all of us. I think that we are all very proud of what we created. I know that I'm very proud of my character, who actually died. Oh, well, you can't see all that, can you? There we go. I'm very proud of how my friend, Amandla, handled the situation. And honestly, I'm a big nerd myself, and I was really, really happy that I got to play a Jedi. Bucket list ticked. So that's the full quote right there. But, I mean, obviously her character's dead. So she, even if there was any talks behind the scenes of a possible second season, she wouldn't know. She wouldn't know. Her character is long gone. Let's put it like that. Yeah. The Red Llama says she's dead. She wouldn't even be in season 2. True. You are absolutely right. But we talked about, obviously, Soul's actor, and Yord's actor. They all said stuff too, and they're not going to be in second season either. There's no talks. I wouldn't be so sure about that one. I wouldn't be so sure about that one. Okay. Wait, what? What released today? What are you talking about? Oh, the Bad Batcher is the Meerkat guy. Nice. Okay, cool. The Bad Batcher, nice. All right. Well, with that being said, let's just put an end cap on this whole Acolyte discussion so we can switch over to the Ray news here. To the Oscar Isaac news, I should say. Do you guys think that that this Acolyte story will ever be continued? Not even if it's not in a season 2. Just the story of Chimere and Venestra and Plagueis and Osha and Yoda, obviously, who's clearly going to be involved in the future seasons. Do you think that will ever be continued? And maybe not in television form. Like, it doesn't have to be a season 2. It doesn't even have to be the Acolyte. It doesn't even have to be called the Acolyte. It could be a different season. It could be a different series entirely, maybe about Darth Plagueis. Or it could just be in books or comics or something like that. Like, clearly they already know that they clearly are already continuing stories. Right now it's just prequels. The prequels of Venestra and Indara, and then Jecki and Yord. But will they ever give us the story afterwards? The story that fans who loved the show want to see. Natalie says, I would like to see 2 things around the Acolyte. A two-part focused on Darth Plagueis, and a Tales of the Force with a little bit of Chimere, Venestra, and also Balin and more. So Tales of the Jedi, you mean? That'd be pretty cool. That's the thing. Tales of the Jedi was created to almost fill in the gaps. Now, the Acolyte's ending is a big gap for a lot of those characters, a big question mark for many of those characters at the end of the show. Will they do a Tales of the blank to establish or finish off the stories? Star Wars Santa, what's up? Says, yes, the Acolyte storylines will be covered in publishing. Maybe some Tales of the Blanks episodes. It's possible. Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. We shall see. Here's the deal. For those fans who are holding out hope for a second season, of course, Manny Jacinto saying that he would make it his career goal to get a second season of this show. But even with that, this is the list of characters that will be, or actors, sorry, that will be at Star Wars Celebration so far, that have been confirmed so far to come to Star Wars Celebration. Again, we still have 2 months till Star Wars Celebration, so this list is going to get a lot longer. But when you look at the list, and we're going to get to Oscar Isaac in a second, but Diego Luna, Rosario Dawson, Ashley Eckstein, Mads Mikkelsen, Manny Jacinto. So there's no other Acolyte names on this list. If I look here, no. So there's no other Acolyte names on this list. But Manny Jacinto, of course, became the biggest star of the show. His character is a fan-loved one by far. The biggest. It's either Soul or The Stranger. Whenever I ask somebody who's your favorite character from the Acolyte, tell me in the chat who's your favorite character from the Acolyte. It's usually The Stranger or Soul. Some people maybe would say Jecki, but she dies in episode 5 and all that stuff. Yord, but he dies in episode 5. It's usually Soul or The Stranger. And Manny Jacinto has become quickly a fan favorite character for a lot of Star Wars fans. So having him still come to Star Wars Celebration after the show he was in was canceled. Think about that. Lucasfilm goes, haha, you were going to be the star of a second season of the Acolyte, and we canceled that. But you can still come to Star Wars Celebration. So what's really weird to me about that is why even do that? You didn't invite, or maybe you invited her, but she said no. Amanda Steinberg. I don't know what the situation is there, but Manny Jacinto is at Star Wars Celebration. You think if you canceled the show, you just, cover it up, get rid of it. You don't need to invite him. You don't need to bring him there. So for those people who are holding out hope that this second season could still exist, this is your hope. Manny Jacinto being invited and going to Star Wars Celebration, there's your hope. The one guy who keeps saying that it's his career, his lifelong goal to get season 2 of The Acolyte to be a thing, will be at Star Wars Celebration. So I would say it's less than a 1% chance, literally less than a 1% chance. But imagine he walked out on stage and they announced Acolyte season 2. It would not be met with a good reception from the Star Wars fandom, obviously. But the fact of the matter is, Star Wars Celebration is going to give us an insane amount of announcements, possibly 2 new animated shows, possibly who knows how many live action projects. So what if they just snuck it in there? They were just like, oh yeah, we got the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. We got Dave Filoni's Mando movie. Oh, guess what? That's going to be a trilogy. Oh my God. And then we got James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi movie. That's going to be awesome. The Rey movie's going to be cool. We got 2 new anime. Oh, and the Acolyte season 2. And then we got all this other stuff too. Less than 1%. Less than 1%. But as Star Wars has, if Star Wars has taught us one thing, chat, if Star Wars has taught us one thing, it's hope. It's hope, chat. Okay. But with that being said, oh, we have a new member. Hang on. Sorry. Dom Silva. Welcome to the people who love Star Wars. Welcome to the people who love Star Wars at the night level, Dom. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Memberships, super chats, keep the lights on over here. And of course, you get instant access to the members-only live streams that we're doing. We're rewatching Andor Season 1 as we get hyped up for Andor Season 2. So you can watch those members-only live streams. You get instant access to the giveaways at the end of every month. You get the cool little badge next to your name in the chat. You get a lot of cool stuff. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it quite a bit. And if you want to become a member, there's a link in the description below to join the people who love Star Wars. Okay. But where was I? Where was I? Christopher for 7-month memberships. I appreciate that, Christopher. Appreciate it. All right, let's do this. So that's the whole Acolyte situation. The fact of the matter is, Manny Jacinto will be at Star Wars Celebration after they canceled his show 7 months ago. A little strange. A little strange if you ask me. Just a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. Star Wars fans is there to please the fans, and true fans want it. I wouldn't say that, because then you're I guess alienating the fans by calling them true fans. That's just not something we do around here. So a true Star Wars fan is somebody who just loves Star Wars. It doesn't matter what project you like. You could like Attack of the Clones and nothing else, and you could still call yourself a Star Wars fan, obviously. But having said that, yes, Star Wars likes to please everybody. Now, the problem is, if they announced an Acolyte Season 2, it would be met with so much crap from the Star Wars fandom. I don't even know. It would just be met online with an all-out war, just like the whole first season was. That's why it was canceled in the first place. So as much as I love the first season, I understand not getting a second season. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Where was I? I made a Star Wars tier list, and I only had 3 C's. Wait, I only had 3 in C, 1 in D, and 1 in F. The majority of of Star Wars projects. Wait, I love the majority of Star Wars projects, so that made me happy. That is really cool. Like, we've made those tier lists before on this channel, and usually, because we're people who love Star Wars, it's S tier, A tier, B tier are all filled. And then you have maybe a few C tiers, pretty much no D tiers, no F tiers. So we really eat good as Star Wars fans, and it's great. Yeah. Brent says, Mike, is that a whole Chopper droid behind you or a cardboard cutout? It's really Chopper. Chop, do you want to say hi? I haven't turned Chopper on in a while. He's going to be so mad. Whoa. Oh. Yeah, he's not a cardboard cutout. Now he's actually really mad that you called him a cardboard cutout. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's move on now because we just got through all that Acolyte stuff. So second on the list, what you guys vote for? Second on the list is the Bad Batch. Okay, so we'll go to the Bad Batch next. Let's go to the Bad Batch. Actually, I want to put up a poll while we talk about this. I want to know where you guys are at with this. I want to know where the community here in the chat today is at. Do you want the Acolyte Season 2? Yes or no? Let's just see. Just for fun. Just for fun. Let's just see. All right, but let's talk about the Bad Batch. So obviously, the Bad Batch is over. 3 seasons to come and gone, and the 3rd season, in my personal opinion, was absolutely incredible. A masterpiece of all masterpieces. The first 2 seasons were good. Not great to me. I think there's episodes there that are really, really great. I mean, the stuff with Cody and Crosshair in season 2 is spectacular. Of course, Tech's death in season 2 is sad but awesome. The premiere of season 1, the Order 66 stuff with Kanan Jarrus, Caleb Doom is so good. But the first 2 seasons have those filler arcs all over the place. It's mostly just sort of an adventure every single episode with not really furthering the story. However, those 2 seasons are necessary to establish these characters, make you grow with these characters, have them go on character arcs. So they're really, really important. That leads to a 3rd season that's just banger. S tier, top 3 seasons of Star Wars animation ever. That good. And it's over. The 3rd season ends with an ending. They don't all die like I thought they would, but they go to Pabu and they grow old. Omega actually leaves Pabu and goes to join the rebellion as a pilot. We all assume that Omega's probably going to show up in live action at some point. I don't know when. I was thinking maybe Skeleton Crew, but that didn't happen. Maybe the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. I don't know. But tell me in the chat, when do you think Omega will make her live action debut in Star Wars? It's likely to be in the Mandoverse. I mean, Andor Season 2 is a possibility, but I would really doubt it. I would guess it would be like Ahsoka Season 2 or the Mandalorian and Grogu movie or Dave Filoni's Mando movie. I really don't know, actually. But Omega is probably coming to live action because of her connection to Boba Fett. Her and Boba Fett are the only 2 unaltered clones of Jango Fett. And they set her up to come into live action. They set her up to join the rebellion. She is friends with Harrison Dula. And Harrison Dula is now in live action in the Ahsoka series. So she can show up somewhere. I just don't know where yet. Yeah. I don't know where, so tell me in the chat. A lot of you guys say Mando movie. That'd be kind of out of nowhere, don't you think, though? Because if you put her in the Mando movie, it's hard to establish who she is. Because the Mando movie is only going to be like 2.5, 3 hours at most. And to spend time sort of establishing and explaining who Omega is would kind of take away from the movie situation. That's why I think a show is the better option, and maybe Ahsoka Season 2 is probably the best bet. But I don't know. I don't know. All right, let's do this. So, obviously the show's come to an end. And, wait, there. So they can't really tell. It's not a fourth season of the Bad Batch that we're talking about today. We're really just talking about, what the hell? Oh, okay, we're good. I thought something happened there. But we're really just talking about today a story that's being integrated through a book, obviously, but it's being integrated into the story that we've already seen from the Bad Batch. So this is a pretty big time jump, or a gap, I guess, to say, in the Bad Batch story, in season 2 in particular, and that is where this story is going to take place. And this is pretty damn cool. So let's just take a look at this. Let's take a look. Star Wars Sanctuary. Sanctuary, probably in reference to Pabu. Novel revealed the Bad Batch's next mission with official announcement. So after season 3 ended, we thought we'd never see these Bad Batch characters again. Maybe Omega, but probably not the other ones, because they all grew old together on Pabu. Other than Tech, they're all still alive, but they just grew old together. That's sort of the happy ending for Chopper. You just scared the shit out of me. Okay, so after like a minute, when you don't press the buttons on Chopper, he turns off and he makes this noise. I literally almost just had a heart attack. He scared the crap out of me. Okay, but having said that, I lost where I was. Chopper. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So they had this happy ending. In the Bad Batch, their characters came to an end. But because they're so happy, fans are so happy with these characters, they know that we want more. We want more. So they gave us a comic run recently. Has that actually even released yet? I'm not sure. A comic run of the Bad Batch, and now we're getting this novel. And oh my God, does this novel sound incredible. If you hear a Star Wars book and you go, I don't read, or I don't care, wait till you hear this. Wait till you hear this. Okay. Star Wars has finally officially announced the upcoming novel featuring the Bad Batch. Previously, via leaks via the Penguin Random House UK, Sanctuary and all of its speculation can be put to rest. StarWars.com revealed that Star Wars Sanctuary, a Bad Batch novel written by Lamar Giles. There's way too many different ways to pronounce these 5 letters, but Lamar will be set during the events of the Bad Batch Season 2, specifically after the events of the tsunami disaster in Pabu. The novel will be released on May 5th. So let's, you guys remember this? The tsunami disaster in Season 2? When Omega and the girl, I'm blanking on her name, they go off into the ocean, and this tsunami hits, and the whole sort of bottom half of Pabu, the island, gets destroyed. And they have to stay and help rebuild. Well, a lot more happened there. A lot more. So check this out. So this is the cover of it. It looks pretty badass. Let's show the full thing. Zoom out here. Pretty damn cool. I mean, it looks like it's on fire. It's the sanctuary. It's Pabu. It's them trying to rebuild Pabu. But there is conflict here. It's not just them trying to oh, why are we so zoomed out now? It's not just them trying to rebuild Pabu. There is a conflict here. And this is pretty damn cool. So check this out. Hunter, Wrecker, Tech, and Omega. Tech is still alive at this point. And Crosshair's not with them because he's still being a bad guy. Okay, so Hunter, Wrecker, Tech, and Omega gamble on a mission to help rebuild Pabu in this thrilling adventure for the Bad Batch. A good soldier knows that life is all about change, whether it's on or off the battlefield. Surviving, living means adaptation. Hunter is acquainted with this lesson. He's on the run from the Empire. Echo is not in this story either because he's off on missions with Captain Rex, and Crosshair, is Crosshair. But amidst all this change, Hunter still has Tech, Wrecker, and Omega. And it seems like his small family might have finally found a safe place to land, far from the increasingly vigilant eyes of the Empire. Pabu. But their potential potential new island home is in desperate need for resources if there's any hope for the fledgling community to recover from the devastating sea wave, the tsunami that hit them in season 2. So this is where it gets pretty cool. This is where Fee, the pirate from season 2, self-proclaimed liberator of treasures, pirate, comes in. With a couple of jobs she swears will get them the funds they need, despite Hunter's concerns with Fee in these plans. The rest of the crew is fine to follow her lead. So obviously Omega's like, yeah, I'm in. And Wrecker, of course, is like, yeah, I'm in. And then Tech's probably like, yeah, I'm in. So Hunter's the one who's the skeptical about the whole thing. Things go wrong almost immediately. As Fee's droid blows the crew's cover at a high-stakes auction, and they barely make it out with the relic they've been paid to acquire. Hunter insists they finish their mission and deliver the relic before taking on more work. But Fee and the others push forward for a second job, ferrying a couple on the run, one of whom is due to give birth at any moment. Hunter worries that they are risking, especially when their mysterious new passengers cling to lies and secrets that trace back to the Imperial Security Bureau, also known as the ISB, officers hot on their trail. So they got the Empire on their trail. They got these other people probably chasing them down from this auction that they were at. But as Hunter tries to get the crew back on a stable, safe path far, far away from anything to do with the Empire's watchdogs, their overlapping missions only invite more danger and chaos. On the verge of failing both their desperate passengers and their community on Pabu, the batch must remember that the only way they succeed, the only way that they can survive to fight another day, is by trusting each other. So this is pretty much just another arc in the Bad Batch story. This pretty much just reminds me of maybe a 3-episode arc of the Bad Batch season 2. And it sounds awesome. It's just another mission. It's like Sid finding them another mission, pretty much, at this point. So that's what sounds really cool about this book. Obviously, it has to do with them finding the resources, finding the money, finding the funds to sort of save Pabu and the people there. But it's pretty damn cool. Sounds cool to me. And then this is what Lamar had to say about it. For my entire life of words, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, there you go, have represented the stepping off point from a dull, everyday reality into this realm of wonder, action, adventure, and joy. This is very, very well put. We come here on every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday right now, and it seems pretty damn spot on that when we come to these live streams, when we just take the time to exist in the Star Wars universe, talk about Star Wars, get hyped up about Star Wars, speculate about Star Wars, when we go to that galaxy far, far away, it really is just removing yourself, stepping away from that reality, the stresses of your world, the anxieties that you have, the problems that exist, all that stuff, stepping back into this realm of wonder, action, adventure, and joy. That's what Star Wars is. That's what we're doing here today. It's pretty damn cool. But very well put by Lamar, as he goes on to say, there's nothing dull about the work that we've been asked to do. And it's certainly not every day that you get a chance to help continue the rich storytelling, to such a rich storytelling tradition. I was a Star Wars fan well before I was a Star Wars writer, and I'm so grateful for both roles. So that's pretty damn cool. Pretty damn cool. Oh, he's written on Star Wars before. Includes 20 and Out, a short story from the Death Star gunner from the certain point of view from Return of the Jedi. That's pretty cool. And now he gets to do his own book. So it comes out August 5th, this book. August 5th. What's pretty wild, and obviously we'll talk about Star Wars Celebration as it gets closer and closer here, but Star Wars Celebration is set to announce so many Star Wars projects. Animated, live action, movies, etc. But when you look at this year in particular, you have 2 Acolyte novels coming out, this Bad Batch novel coming out, a High Republic novel coming out, So right there, and maybe I'm missing one or two, but right there you have 4 pretty big novels from Star Wars coming out in 1 year. Now that's a lot, but I think there's other projects coming as well. Like an animated show before the end of the year is expected. It's going to be announced at Star Wars Celebration, but I think they're a lot further along than we would think. Yeah. So that's pretty cool too. I would love the audiobook to be voiced by Michelle Ang and D. Bradley Baker. That would be really cool. If I wouldn't be surprised if they did that, actually, because that'd be awesome. It'd be like watching The Bad Batch at that point, just with your eyes closed. Yeah. Hey, Mike, the new Kylo Ren series, Legacy of Vader, just released its first new issue. I did hear about that. I have not picked it up, but I have heard about that, and I have not read it yet. Yeah. No, I've not. Yeah. Yeah. Has anyone ever read the new Jedi Order novels? Oh, like the Legends ones, you mean? I don't think I've read all of them. I've read at least one and maybe a part of another one. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm getting behind on my Star Wars literature. I must double my efforts. Yeah, I think you do. I do too. I mean, I'm pretty far behind as well. Yeah. Mike, are you back to 100% healthy? Honestly, I was feeling a lot better because, I was sick a couple weeks ago. I was feeling a lot better until this morning. I woke up this morning without my voice, and I feel like every time I have a stream, there's always something, There's always something. But that's pretty cool. Please, can we get an animated show about the original trilogy characters leading up to the sequel trilogy? I'd love that. A Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple show, 7 seasons, just like the Clone Wars, that tells the story of Ben Solo, Palpatine, Snoke, the First Order, but more importantly, Luke, Leia, and Han. Han and Leia's falling out, which ends up to where we see them in The Force Awakens. You can throw Chewie in there, Lando in there, R2 and C-3PO, like all that. It would just literally just be like the Clone Wars, but for this set of characters. And it would be incredible. Yeah. It would be incredible. How's Sam? She's doing great. She's doing great. She's not here right now, but she's doing great. And Boo's doing great too. Yeah. The biggest burning question of the day is, where is Samantha? I don't know, chat. I don't know. She's not here. Yeah. Okay. So let's do this. Let's switch our gears over to the biggest topic, I think, of the day, and that is Oscar Isaac's return. Possible return. So the big news was this. Hang on. The big news was this. Oscar Isaac, known for playing fan favorite ace pilot Poe Dameron, is flying to Star Wars Celebration, Japan. Photo ops, autographs are now available, blah, 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 blah. Oscar Isaac will be at Star Wars Celebration in Japan. So let's take a look at this. He's confirmed to be a guest at Star Wars Celebration. Is this a Force Awakens reunion? That's the big question. This is the 10-year anniversary of The Force Awakens. I know, think about that for a second. It's been 10 years since the sequel trilogy began. I know. 2015 was when The Force Awakens came out. It's currently 2025. Wild times. However, could this be a Force Awakens reunion, or is this something else? The list of announced guests for Star Wars Celebration continues to grow. The latest name to join this list is none other than Poe Dameron himself, Oscar Isaac. As far as we gathered, this will be the first time that Oscar Isaac participates in a photo op and autograph signing at any Star Wars Celebration before. Any of them. Despite having attended before to promote the sequel trilogy films. But what's more interesting here is that his presence there might prove his presence there, might prove that Lucasfilm is planning some sort of 10-year anniversary panel for The Force Awakens, as we've predicted for the last few months. So usually at Star Wars Celebrations, they do this. I believe at 2023 Star Wars Celebration, it was a 15-year anniversary of the Clone Wars. So they had a Clone Wars panel for 15 years with D. Bradley Baker and James Arnold Taylor and Ashley Eckstein and Matt Lanter and all those voice actors from the Clone Wars who brought it to life, and even Dave Filoni. So I think they've done that with a million different things. The 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi was also in the 2023 celebration, so they brought back Anthony Daniels. Did they bring back? I forget who else, but they brought back a bunch of people who worked on and were in Return of the Jedi, and they had a 40th anniversary for that. So it makes sense that they would also be celebrating the 10-year anniversary of The Force Awakens. Now, there's also a 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. Now, Revenge of the Sith is my favorite Star Wars movie of all time. It is just a masterpiece, and it's celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. Usually, they release or re-release movies into theaters for their anniversary. 2 years ago, it was Return of the Jedi for its 40th anniversary, which I got to go see in theaters for the first time ever. Last year was The Phantom Menace for its 25th anniversary, and I got to watch that for the first time ever in the movie theaters. And this year, it'll be The Force Awakens and Revenge of the Sith. So hopefully, I'll get to go watch Revenge of the Sith for the first time ever in a movie theater. It'd be pretty awesome. But having said that, we're talking Force Awakens for a second. These clues would start with Oscar Isaac, who famously stepped aside from the franchise after The Rise of Skywalker came out. We're talking John Boyega and Oscar Isaac today, because the two of them have been very vocal about their time with Star Wars. And the fact that Oscar is coming back to Star Wars Celebration at all is pretty big. And I would not be surprised if John Boyega's announcement is coming soon. Yeah. But, so if they manage to convince him to return for this occasion, who else did they sign up? Daisy Ridley will probably be in attendance, although it hasn't been confirmed yet, to try and calm people down regarding her feature film. The question is, will John Boyega be on stage? Adam Driver also seems to be a much longer shot, but perhaps not entirely out of the question. Of the sequel trilogy cast, Adam Driver kind of became the biggest one when you look at sort of the projects that happened after the sequel trilogy aired. I mean, Oscar Isaac, obviously, he's a big-time actor, too. He's in Marvel as Moon Knight. He's in the Dune movies. He's a big-time actor, and he was beforehand, actually, before the sequels even began. But of the big three, I guess, if you put it that way, of the sequel trilogy, and that is Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Adam Driver. Adam Driver's definitely had the biggest career since 2019's Rise of Skywalker. And to have him come back for Star Wars Celebration would be enormous, but it just doesn't seem likely. Then there's J.J. Abrams, who's currently preparing a movie with Warner Brothers, which might be shooting during the time of Star Wars Celebration, so he might not be there either. However, fans attending the convention can sign up for autographs with Oscar Isaac there and whatever. And then there's a bunch of other people. We'll get to these other people in a minute, but of course, you got Ahsoka and there on and so forth. Yeah. And perhaps Ryan Gosling. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. Ryan Gosling coming to Star Wars. Yeah. But how about Hayden Christensen for the 20th anniversary of... Yeah, so here's the deal. Ahsoka Season 2 is going to have some sort of presence at Star Wars Celebration this year. Rosario Dawson's obviously going to be there. But the question is, with these rumors of Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor being involved in Ahsoka Season 2, would they be so bold as to walk them out on stage for an Ahsoka Season 2 panel, Hayden and Ewan, that is, and have them there for it, confirming that they will both be in the second season to get fans hyped up for it? That would be pretty damn crazy, but they would also be there for the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. So Ewan and Hayden, who have been talking about coming back to play their respective roles time and time again, they'll likely be at Star Wars Celebration, if not to just celebrate Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary. But they could also be there for some crazy other announcements too. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Oscar Isaac hasn't openly crapped on the sequel trilogy. He's just 50-50 on coming back since it's a long commitment. Well, he has been a lot more vocal than a lot of other people. Yeah. He's not really been nice about it. Well, he's been nice about it, obviously, but you know. Okay, so now let's talk about the big elephant in the room, and that is the fan theories going around now because of this announcement that John Boyega, but Oscar Isaac is coming back to be in the Rey movie. Speculation has run wild. So first things first, let's put up a poll in the chat. We'll end this poll. 66%, nice. Order 66% of you guys say yes, you do want an Acolyte Season 2. Well, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this, shall we? Okay. What the hell? What do you think Oscar Isaac will be in the Rey movie? Yes or no? Tony, what's up? Do you think Oscar Isaac will be in the Rey movie? What do we think, chat? Oh, Darth Plagueis lives with a very generous $5 holla. I appreciate that, Darth Plagueis. I really, really do. Memberships are very, very nice. And of course, if you don't know, I will do any Star Wars impression for any amount of super chat. But I appreciate it anyway. Says, with the $5 holla, says, "Ah!" That's not what he said. Sorry. He says, need John back with Oscar and Daisy. Much love. Much love right back to you, Darth Plagueis. But I agree with you. John Boyega needs to be back with these two. If it's not enough to have a Rey movie that just has Poe Dameron in it. Because where is Finn? Where is Finn? Now here's the deal. I think John is coming back. I think John will be at this Star Wars Celebration. I think they will walk out onto stage for the Rey movie. I appreciate the hearts, guys. I really, really do. They will walk out with the Rey movie announcement, because it's already been announced, but a panel for the Rey movie. They will walk out John Boyega, Daisy Ridley, and Oscar Isaac. Obviously, Daisy Ridley probably first, and then they'll be like, oh, I can't make this film alone. I got to have my friends with me. And then they all walk out and everybody goes crazy. Ah! Yeah, so I think that's probably likely to happen. It's just whether or not they got John back. Because they clearly got Oscar back. He's coming to Japan to sign autographs and do photos too. Yeah, absolutely. So, with that being said, let's talk about the speculation. So this comes from IGN. Star Wars Celebration confirms Oscar Isaac appears. This sparks rumors that he's returning to the galaxy far, far away. Star Wars Celebration 2025 will feature an official appearance from sequel trilogy star Oscar Isaac, sparking rumors that Poe Dameron will return to the galaxy far, far away. The official Star Wars Celebration Instagram account, official Instagram account announced that Oscar Isaac's appearance at the event will take place in Tokyo from April 18th to 20th. Rey actress Daisy Ridley appeared at Star Wars Celebration in 2023 to announce that she would appear in a new film. So fans are wondering if Isaac will do the same. Not get his own film, but join the Rey movie. Sequel trilogy wrapped up in 2019 with an infamous Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker, and Isaac has gone through the motions of sharing his distaste for appearing in Star Wars and being open to a return. There's the announcement, by the way. He said in 2020 he would only return to the franchise if he needed another house or something, obviously, as a joke, talking about the money that he would get if he came back to Star Wars. But he changed his mind in 2022, telling Variety that he has no real feeling one way or another. and therefore is open to anything. So something changed around then. Something happened that got his interest peaked. And around that 2022 time period would have been when this Rey movie idea came into conception, I guess. We'll put it that way. Inception. Dream within a dream. But the Rey movie would probably have been created at that time, the idea to do so. And Oscar was probably reached out to saying, would you be willing to come back to do this thing? Guess he needs a house now. Did Captain Phasma survive the fall, and will she return? No. But Oscar Isaac has otherwise criticized Star Wars owners Disney for turning down his proposal for a romance between Poe and John Boyega's Finn, saying that the overlords were not ready for that. Pretty funny. John Boyega similarly came away from the sequel trilogy with negative feelings, and John has been a lot more vocal about those negative feelings towards Disney and the franchise, but has also made comments about being open to any roles later. It seems like something switched about 2-3-ish years ago, where they all went from sort of critiquing the sequel trilogy in a sort of respectful way, some more than others, and talking about how they don't want to come back, to how they'd be open to it. Something sort of changed about 2-3 years ago. And maybe that change was they were all reached out to about this Rey movie. But speculation is therefore brewing over a potential return of all three main characters in this Rey movie, which will take place roughly around 15 years after the events of The Rise of Skywalker, as she looks to rebuild the Jedi Order. Ridley has already expressed her desire for John Boyega to return alongside of her. And with Poe making up the final parts of the sequel trilogy main trio, the return would make sense too. Interesting. Definitive answers could come at Star Wars Celebration 2025, but fans will otherwise be waiting a while to see what comes together. This is because Disney has delayed the impending Star Wars film yet again and again, despite having more than a dozen announced. The Rey movie, which is directed by Sharmina Bachinoy, hasn't been locked in as of yet to the earliest release date that they have of December 17th, 2027. So it hasn't been locked into that release date, but fans think that it will likely come out around that time. So let's talk about this. Do you think Oscar Isaac being open to coming back to Star Wars, now being confirmed to come in to Star Wars Celebration, sign autographs, do photo ops in Japan, do you think this is all really just to show that he's coming back? Do you think Oscar Isaac will be in the Rey movie? What do we think? What do we think, chat? And if so, do you think John Boyega is right behind him? There's no way you get around making this Rey movie without John Boyega, without Finn. Fans just would not. Here's the deal. You thought The Acolyte was bad. You thought the reception to that show was bad. It would be far worse if they make a Rey movie that doesn't involve Finn. Finn's a fan favorite character from the sequel trilogy. John Boyega is a fan favorite actor for Star Wars fans. We feel a connection to him. You can just tell that he's a nerd who loves Star Wars. You can just tell. Obviously, he's been very vocal about that, how much he loves Star Wars. So to not have him be in the continuation of that story, when we really, really want him to be a Jedi, it seems like a no-brainer. So honestly, I think there's no world where we get a Rey movie without all three of them. Poe Dameron would have been my least likely option for coming back, and he's the first one to be announced, I guess, in theory. He's been announced to come back to Star Wars Celebration. Could that just be for a photo op and some signatures and maybe even a Force Awakens 10-year anniversary panel? Or is it something more? Is the 10-year anniversary panel going to be like, oh yeah, 10 years ago we started this whole damn thing and we're going to keep it going in the Rey movie? I don't know. What do we think, chat? What do we think? Ghost Rider says, I hope he comes back. He was a good actor in the sequel trilogy. I agree with you. Oscar Isaac in particular, too, is a great actor. I mean, all the stuff he's been in, he's so good. Yeah. Aaron says, yes, they'll all come back if they are paid well enough. And John will come back if the story dignifies his character. That's the good news. If John Boyega comes back to Finn, to Star Wars, you know that the script is good and the story is good enough for him to come back. It does his character justice. Because John has been the most vocal about his experiences with the sequel trilogy and how his character was treated. And it seems like he would not come back unless he reads the script and likes it. Honestly, when we're looking at all the Rey news that we get over the last sort of 2 years, all the different writers that have come and gone, from Stephen Knight to, what was his name? The Lost guy, what's his name? Lindelof, Damon Lindelof, to now this George Nalfi guy. It's possible that all these scripts that they've been writing are sent directly to John Boyega. And if John says no, then they just go to the next writer. Because John is the key to all of this. The Rey movie doesn't work without him. Without Finn, it doesn't work. The fandom will go insane because they didn't keep John involved in the story. And it's already a sequel trilogy story that fans have very strong opinions about. So clearly, they know that they need John in this movie. So it's possible, now it's not confirmed or anything, I'm just purely speculating here. It's possible that all these scripts that are being written by all these different writers for the Rey movie are just being sent to John. Well, they're obviously being sent to Disney too, but they're being sent to John as well because he has to agree to it. He has to see that his character is being treated properly and that it's a good script because he doesn't want to come back otherwise. It's possible. Melissa has 21 guinea pigs? What the hell? Hang on. What? Really? That's crazy. Are the 21 guinea pigs going to be with Finn in the Rey movie? Give them little TIE fighters? Jar Jar is the key to all of this? Well, probably not. BB-8 and Chewie will be there too, right? Well, BB-8 is a droid. Chewie, I mean, you got, what's his name? Who's the guy who plays Chewie now? He did it in the sequel trilogies, and he did it he played Kalnaka in The Acolyte. What's his name? I'm completely blanking on it. But yeah, I mean, it's likely that BB-8 will be involved in Chewbacca too. Like, why not? Those are easy people to get back. John Boyega is going to be the most difficult one. Yeah. For sure. How about Rose? Again, I don't know. Well, here's the thing. If you get, oh yeah, Jonas, yeah. Jonas, something. Yeah. If you get John Boyega back, then you can immediately go to Kelly and all the other actors, really, and go, John's coming back. And if John's coming back, then I think they all will come back too. Because if John was probably the worst treated one of them all, and if he comes back, then I think they'll sort of be like, okay, we got something on our hands. Yeah. The Jonas Brothers. Yeah, the Jonas Brothers all sit on each other's shoulders, and that's what makes Chewbacca. Yeah. Absolutely. I don't know, man. I heard that BB-8 is pretty pretentious when it comes to the projects he's attached to. Well, maybe. Maybe. Okay, but as I see right now, 80% of you guys think that, yes, Oscar Isaac will be in the Rey movie, and that's sort of what they're going to be announcing at Star Wars Celebration. Well, I got a follow-up question to that. I got a follow-up poll to that. Well, let's put this up in the chat. Do you think John Boyega Boyega will be in the Rey movie? So do you think John will be in the Rey movie back as Finn? Because here's the thing. If we're talking about the Rey movie and how it needs to be successful, they need to have John. They need to have Oscar. They need to have all these characters come back. They don't have to be the main characters. The story can still be Rey being like the Obi-Wan type to this new generation. It doesn't have to be an episode 10, 11, 12. It can still just be a continuation of the Star Wars story past the Skywalker saga with new characters. But you have to have these three, at least these three, involved in the story. And I don't think there's any ifs, ands, or buts about it. If Finn's not there, a lot of fans won't be there either. And that's the issue. I think that's the problem. That's why I think the Rey movie's being pushed back so much. Now, with that being said, we talked about this about a month ago or whenever it was, a few weeks ago, about how this Rey movie just got another new writer. Another new writer. So after Damon didn't work, after Steven didn't work, now we got George. So let's talk about George, because George actually just said something pretty cool that got fans pretty excited about this Rey movie, actually, because this writer seems to know what he's doing. But let's talk about this. So, New Jedi Order writer George Nulfi speaks up on his approach to Star Wars in the upcoming film, and this has got people pretty excited. So let's talk about this. Actually, while we read this, can I get some good cups full of orders in the chat, please? Bumpa. Okay. John Groom says, have you seen how the Rebels wording on the Andor poster seems very similar to the Rebels in the animated show? John, remind me after we talk about this Rey stuff, because we got to talk about that Andor Season 2 stuff too. Because yes, there was Andor Season 2 leaked merchandise and a first look at Cassian, or sort of a look at Cassian. So yeah, remind me after we read this. The ink is still fresh on this report about George Nulfi boarding the Daisy Ridley-led New Jedi Order movie that Lucasfilm has been developing for 2 years. And the writer is now confirmed his involvement with the project. Speaking with British magazine's Film Stories, Nulfi was asked about his plans to how he plans to approach the new movie. He mostly focuses on being a team player and will build up from the ideas that predated his arrival on the project and trying to bring some of his own take to them. That's pretty interesting because there's obviously been so many different writers attached to this Rey movie, and he's clearly not the first, but taking the ideas that came before him and adding on to it, it's pretty cool. So here's what he had to say. The way I approach it is you look at what's come before you. You look at the broad ideas of what they wanted to do, meaning Lucasfilm, Disney, Charmino Bedchinoy, the director, and then you do what what a writer does, and try to put beats of a story together, trying to imagine characters, and then you present that with an understanding that it needs to honor obviously a long, incredible tradition, and that is, of course, Star Wars. But what he says here that's pretty interesting is writer obviously is important to the story. You got a good writer, you usually got a good story. Look at Tony Gilroy with Andor, for example. We'll talk about Andor Season 2 in a little bit. But when you talk about a writer, you need a good writer, always. Look at Dave Filoni, you look at Jon Favreau, great writers. Tony Gilroy, great writer. So if George Nulfi is a great writer, as we hope he is, then obviously the Rey movie's put in a good spot. But he doesn't have the last say. The director has a lot of power too. Now, in the instance of Disney Plus shows, you have Dave Filoni, who's also the director and writer. Sometimes, not always the case, but yes, usually the director and the writer. Now you have different episodes with different directors, and usually the writer has the say of what it looks like in the end. But when it comes to a movie, the director has way more say in what ends up being in the movie. On set, things change all the time. So the writer kind of gives you the blueprint, and the director brings it to life. So in this instance, he's talking about how he has to imagine these characters, write an entire script, specific lines of dialogue, specific scenes, all that stuff. And that's important. But he doesn't have the final say in all that stuff. The director does. The studio does, really. But he's working off the ideas that already exist. He's not writing a fully fledged new story. He's just working off the ideas that already exist, which is pretty interesting. So let's keep going. He went on to talk about the larger canvas that any new writer is going to work on when they board a Star Wars movie, as he goes on to say this. If you think about George Lucas, full stop right there. Every writer, director, producer, anybody who works on Star Wars, if they ever even mention George Lucas, it's already good news. Unless they're like, George Lucas, that guy sucks. Now, it's already good news. Because fans go, okay, he's a fan of George Lucas. I'm a fan of George Lucas. We have a connection there. It's not that hard of a task to do. It's not that difficult to get the fandom on your side in something. Honestly, it's a pretty simple equation, actually. You just go, oh, I love Star Wars. I've been a Star Wars nerd for my entire life. And usually that's true. You want Star Wars nerds working on Star Wars. But then you're like, George Lucas, he's the freaking genius. George Lucas is the GOAT. And then everybody else goes, he's right. George Lucas is the GOAT. Are you kidding me? This guy's a freaking genius. So immediately, when he says George Lucas, you already got fans going, okay, I like this guy. I like it. You know what? He mentioned George Lucas. I like George Lucas. I think I might like this guy. And honestly, it might sound stupid because I'm using a stupid voice when I say that, but that's what really happens with a lot of Star Wars fans. The news for the last sort of 24 hours, whatever you want to call it, 48 hours, has been that this George Nulfi guy is a good ad for the Rey movie, is a good add-on for the Rey movie. And honestly, I think he is. But most of that is coming from the idea that he just mentioned George Lucas, which is crazy. There is no Star Wars without George Lucas. Officer Murdoch, I get what you're saying, and obviously there isn't. George Lucas is the GOAT. He is the creator. He is the one above all. But the fact that so many people can just hear that, just hear somebody say, George Lucas, and it's like, oh my God, he knows what he's talking about. It's not that hard to get the fans on your side. You know? It's really not. But let's keep reading. If you think about George Lucas, oh my God, the 6 movies that he did in the universe that he created, it's actually very steeped in broad notions of politics. Now, when you hear politics, you immediately go, oh no. Because usually, politics are a very divisive thing. But here's the thing. Star Wars, from A New Hope on, and more so in the prequel trilogy, is very revolving around politics. I mean, the Clone Wars has become a very beloved thing. It's all about politics. Not real world politics. Politics in a galaxy far, far away. Now, do they have connections? Do they have similarities? Do they have, I guess, parallels? Yes. But that's not the idea. The idea that George Lucas had when creating Star Wars was to give all these different lessons, life lessons in the form of a galaxy far, far away and an awesome epic adventure. And that's how it works. All these different life lessons and all this stuff about the Empire and the Republic and all that political stuff with the separatists and all that. It's there. It's not, it's it can't be avoided. It's there. It's the real issues we have in the real world, but it's disconnecting us from the real world by giving us a fake reality that still has the same issues that we do, but it's different. And yes, Star Wars has always been political from the beginning. Well, let's keep going. I'm not talking about politics of today. Perfect. That's. I'm so glad that that's the very next sentence out of his mouth, because it's not. It's not about the politics of today. George Lucas never intended it to be either, per se. But there's the Empire's Nazism, I guess, / Roman Empire. The Empire, Roman Empire, you get it. The democracy of the Roman Empire collapsing and becoming an empire, like Palpatine's empire. It's pretty much just a story about human beings organizing themselves and against chaos, a rebellion. Rebels usually tend to be like, George Lucas has a great interview with, I believe, is it Christopher Nolan? No, not Christopher Nolan. It's James Cameron, I think. James Cameron and George Lucas sat down and had this sort of conversation with each other. And he says, in the original movies, you have rebels. And these rebels are really just like terrorists in the real world. And it's absolutely 100% right. And yet we see from the perspective that these so-called terrorists are taking down the evil empire. And it's almost like history repeats itself over and over and over and over again. The Roman Empire, but even more recently, they talk about the rebels of the Americans fighting against the evil empire of the king of England from the Revolution of America back in 1770s, I guess in the 1700s. So it's just history repeating itself over and over and over again. And that's what Star Wars really tells you. It teaches you the same lessons that happen in history around the world over and over and over again without having to make it something so controversial and about today. You know? So he goes on to say, that is really very core to what I think George Lucas was talking about. And one of the very wonderful things about science fiction and Star Wars, which is more almost science fantasy or space opera. Again, he is pretty much just regurgitating what George Lucas has said time and time and time again, and yet we are eating it up. We are absolutely eating this up. George Lucas has said so often that Star Wars is not science fiction. It is not. It is fantasy. It is a space opera. And George Nolfi is literally just repeating what he said. And yet, we are all like, yes, I love this guy. And you can't help it. You can't help it. You love George Lucas so much that you hear a new writer who's attached to a Star Wars project saying the same things that he said, and you're like, let's go! Let's go! But he keeps going. It's that you can raise the deepest issues without it feeling like a physiology class, English, Mike, class, or a political science class, or something that I read in the newspaper today. So you can tell these stories without it being boring as hell, because you can add lightsabers and the Force and badass characters and space battles and these cool chase scenes and all this fun, awesome stuff. It has the hints and elements of politics, but it also has awesome, badass, lightsaber swinging, fun stuff. This is very important. All he's talking about here is extremely important because he's now the writer of the Rey movie. And he's talking about the original 6 movies that George Lucas created and how those are really impacting how he's writing this movie. The political stances from those first 6 movies, although very subtle, are very important to the story. And what's really important about this is the Rey movie takes place 15 years after the events of The Rise of Skywalker, at a point in the galaxy where the First Order is now gone, the Empire is now gone, the New Republic is now gone, the Republic is now gone, and we are in a weird spot in the galaxy where politics is a very, very important thing. Yes, this movie's called New Jedi Order, or the working title is called New Jedi Order. It's supposed to be about Rey starting this new Jedi Order. But there is so many other important details going on across the galaxy, like who's the next government? How are they controlling the entire galaxy? With a new threat arising, because there has to be one, what do they do with that? And that's very important. And the fact that this George Nolfi guy understands the importance of politics and understands what George Lucas was creating when he created the first 6 movies, as he is writing for the Rey movie, is extremely important. So now, when we put the two together, this great news of George Nolfi talking about this Rey movie in this sort of light, and Poe Dameron, Oscar Isaac returning, you can see where the two correlate. You can see where this announcement of Oscar Isaac being at Star Wars Celebration this year is so damn important. Because Poe is the future. He's the political side of the story. Because he was supposed to be the leader that Leia was handed down by Leia. Leia was the leader of the rebellion, or the resistance. She was a leader in the Senate beforehand. And now she's not. Because she's, of course, gone. So now Poe Dameron has to sort of set up. He's the new leader of this resistance, and now he's the new leader of the new government. The new republic. Whatever they're going to call it. He's the new leader. So that side of things being implemented into this Rey movie is so vastly important. And George Nolfi understands that. And that's pretty damn cool. But let's keep reading this because there's a little bit more to it. There's a little bit more to it. This is also not the first that Nolfi publicly talks about Star Wars. Check out this story we published back in November of 2012. 13 years ago. 2012. If somebody was born in November of 2012, they'd be old enough to watch, or they'd almost be old enough to watch Revenge of the Sith. Filed with Hollywood names, some have all gone on to work for Lucasfilm at some point. He said about the prospect of exploring new post-Return of the Jedi stories. So in 2012, this is what he was talking about, post-Return of the Jedi stories. He said, I can't imagine a larger event film for our generation than a sequel to Return of the Jedi. And he's not wrong. The Force Awakens was enormous. However you feel about it, it still made $2 billion. It's one of the highest grossing films of all time. Star Wars literally defined the magic of movies to me as a child. No other film had more impact on my subconscious desires to become a filmmaker. And honestly, this is the case with almost everybody in the world. Whenever you saw Star Wars, you don't understand what it did to you subconsciously. Whether that is to talk about Star Wars, to love the franchise for the rest of your life, or go work on Star Wars, or become a filmmaker, or become a writer, or do whatever. It had a pull, it had a desire on everybody. Crazy. No worries, Star Wars Santa, I appreciate you. Yeah. Rebel Sith says, John Boyega will likely be in the Rey movie. But Mike, I think you're exaggerating his importance. I don't think I was. All they need to do is have him be a cool Jedi and he'll be back. He is a bit, arrogant? Likely only cares about his character? I don't think so. No. John Boyega loves Star Wars. He understands what Star Wars is and means to all these other people. Yeah. I don't think I was exaggerating his importance enough. Yeah. But what Nolfi is saying is has me very excited. I think they have brought him to help set up the politics in world building for the next 3 Kinberg movies. That's a possibility. We don't know when those 3 Kinberg movies, Kimberg, movies take place in the Star Wars galaxy, but yeah, it's possible. But no, absolutely. What George Nolfi says here has got me so excited for this movie now. Unbelievably excited. And to sort of tack on the fact that Oscar Isaac might be coming back to play Poe Dameron in the movie is also pretty damn cool. Yeah. But Nolfi is currently out promoting a new movie called Elevation, which drops on Prime Video on February 8th, starring Anthony Mackie. I've not really seen anything about this, but that's pretty cool. That comes out in 2 days. This movie comes out in 2 days. Have you guys heard of this? Do you guys know what this is? I don't know, but his third rotation, he's the third rotation of writers working on this movie after Damon Lindelof and Justin Britt Gibson first came on to the idea of the post-Rise of Skywalker movie with an elder Rey, very much older Rey, and then that was scrapped because Daisy Ridley was going to come on board. Then they got the creator of Peaky Blinders, Stephen Knight. Then he dropped out, and now George has been picked up. So, with that being said, this great news of George Nolfi talking about this movie in such high regard, and George Lucas in such high regard, and the politics that are from the first 6 films that were kind of lacking in the sequel trilogy. Yes, there is a political side to it, but it's not really focused on enough. That's great news. And of course, the Oscar Isaac situation is fantastic as well. But with that being said, I'm actually going to end this poll in the chat and start up a new one, because 73% of you guys say yes, you do want John Boyega, or think that John Boyega will be in the Rey movie. I agree with that. Let me put this in a poll. Are you more excited now for the Rey movie than you were before? So are you more excited now after this news, after this sort of interview with George Nolfi, the news of possibly having Poe Dameron come to the Rey movie, and even John Boyega at that too? Are you more excited now than ever for this Rey movie? George also compared the rebels to the Viet Cong. That's true. The Empire to America. And during the release of the original trilogy, he compared Palpatine to Nixon. Really? I haven't seen that. So it's also a politics of today. It is and it isn't. Well, I mean, it is and it isn't to an extent. It's not the politics that you think of in that sort of facet of the world. Well, Nixon was obviously long gone when they were making the prequel trilogy. Yeah. Politics of today, I mean, like today, you know? What if the new villains are bounty hunters? And they are led by a lightsaber wielder, or led by a wielder of a lightsaber, and they are in league with the Final Order. Maybe some sort of Nile return. I don't know. You're going to need a really great villain. That's the thing with the Rey movie. It's going to need a really great villain because you're following up Palpatine, the greatest villain of all time. So it's going to be very, very difficult to do. I hope they go with like the Vong or the Grisk or Abeloth even. Would be fantastic, but I think only time will tell. Yeah. I won't get excited about this movie until it's much closer to its release date. These reports are a nothing burger. Well, it is a something burger when you got the writer of it talking about the movie itself. But yeah, it's hard to get excited for something that's so far away. I understand that. Yeah. Indeed. Lee says, with that being said, Mike, I've heard that you are watching The Fifth Element this weekend. You seriously need to get to that Fifth Element, get on the Fifth Element train. No. I'm good. Okay, well, let's stay on that for a second before we switch gears to Andor season 2. let's stay on that for a second. Who do you want or think will be the villain of the Rey movie? Will it be like the Grisk or the Vong? Will it be Abeloth? Will it be some sort of new Sith or even a Sith that we know, like a Darth Krayt? Who will be the villain? Who will be the villain? I'm way, way more excited now. This guy has what it takes. No other writer or director in the Disney era has understood this. Not like this. The politics and mythology together. That's the thread. I wouldn't say that no other director or writer has understood that in the Disney era. I mean, you got guys like Dave Filoni working on Star Wars projects. But having said that, I will say that this has got me a lot more excited, especially coupled with the news that Oscar Isaac is going to Star Wars Celebration. I would not have expected that. Yeah. Mike, watch Resistance. I'll get to it. The Vong, most likely. Interesting. The Grisk of the Vong. Okay. So you guys are thinking the Grisk of the Vong is a better idea than like just the next Sith. And I actually agree with you, because here's the thing. The last movie, episode 9, was Palpatine in his hopefully real death this time. There won't be a somehow Palpatine returns ×2. And he was all the Sith, as he put it. So to just have the Sith come back right away wouldn't really make much sense. You know? So to have like the Grisk of the Vong, an entire species of villains, would be different and cool at the same time. Now, Abeloth is not technically a Sith. She is a very, very powerful Force user. She'd be pretty cool too. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just happy that he's not moaning about being tied down by Star Wars lore. The lore is what should be a privilege. I agree with that. Obviously, I understand being tied down to specific characters, but being tied down to the lore doesn't really make sense. Yeah. Maybe Rey is the villain and she goes dark side. I'd like that. I really hope that she would have gone dark side in the sequel trilogy, but yeah. That didn't happen. When you keep up with all of Star Wars, it's pretty obvious that they're building towards the galaxy, versus galaxy Thrawn is from. Oh, you're saying the galaxy Peridia, where Thrawn was in Ahsoka? Maybe. I mean, right now Peridia has just been set up as a place for Abeloth's prison, and I don't know if it's going to be much more than that. However, you might be onto something there. Yeah. They would undo the entire 3-movie arc if they had Rey go dark side. Yeah, that's true. I think it's too late for her to now go dark side, but I still think that she should have gone dark side in the sequel trilogy. Yeah. You haven't watched Resistance? That show is awesome. I know. I've heard some people give it pretty high praise and some people give it pretty low praise, but I still haven't watched it. I got to get around to that. You know what? Maybe I'll commit tonight. Tonight will be the night I'll commit to watching that. Maybe. Here's the thing. I got this What If I'm working on. It's been so slow. Yeah, it's just been very, very slow. And I'm a procrastinator, chat. I'm a procrastinator. And yeah. Will any Skeleton Crew guys appear in the Rey movie? I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Are we keeping you awake, Mike? LOL. What? No. It's like 3 PM. Oh, did I just yawn? Is that why? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Haven't we learned that all Jedi tap into the dark side? Well, the Force is an interesting thing, yeah. Yeah. Star Wars Politics says, making content is hard, Mike, hence why I always take long periods of breaks and then lose all my progress. It is a very difficult thing. The hardest thing is honestly just to keep going. Yeah. It's a very, very difficult thing to do. The consistency of posting daily is very, very hard. Like shorts even. I try to post a short every single day. It's very difficult. 3 live streams a week. Obviously, I want to get back to making long-form videos. These what-ifs are very, very long to make. I want to make them 20-plus minutes long, which is very, very difficult to do. I sound like I'm complaining here. I'm not. I'm really, really not. It's just, it's a long process. We'll put it that way. All right, but let's get to the Andor Season 2 news. Let's get to the Andor Season 2 stuff first before we run out of time here. So there's been some great hoodie there, Mike, today. Thank you. Din and Grogu. Can't wait for this Mando and Grogu movie. Okay. Yeah, a 10-minute video takes forever. Yeah, an 8-minute video to 10-minute video is a long process. I mean, those breakdown videos that we're doing were like 18 minutes. Took me 6 hours. Breakdowns are a little different, though. Okay. Let's do this. So, Andor Season 2 stuff. So, we got our first sort of new look at Cassian here. Him giving us a little bit of a smirk here from this teaser trailer. There's Cassian. Nice slick back hair. Nice smirk right there. So, here's the thing. He's on Coruscant here, or at least we think he's on Coruscant here. And the crazy part about this is there's some merch that has been released. So let's do this. So it seems like are teasing towards a trailer coming soon. Because we talked about it last stream, but we looked up how the teaser trailers for each Star Wars live action project came out 4 to 5 months before the project aired. And right now we are 2.5 months away from Andor Season 2, and we still haven't gotten a trailer yet. Still none, which is crazy. But we do have some leaked sort of merchandise. Check this out. So on this one, you can see Mon Mothma and Cassian running away from somewhere. Most likely on Coruscant. So all these worlds that have been set up in Season 1, Mon Mothma, Cassian, all these different characters, Luthen, that are all connected in one way or another, are going to meet in this second season. Question, how many people has Cassian killed? I don't even know, actually, at this point. Yeah. Mando Season 2 trailer had its trailer release a month before its release. Mando Season 2 is a little different because the turnover time before Season 2, or after Season 1 to Season 2 was very, very quickly. Yeah. But, having said that, so this is an Andor poster. You got one of the flight troopers here from a TIE fighter. But you got Cassian and Mon Mothma running away. Now, there is another one here. Oh, yeah, this one. This is another sort of T-shirt that shows K2SO. I guess you are keeping me awake. No, I'm kidding. And B2 on the same poster that says wanted rebel spies. If seen, contact the Empire, dead or alive. Well, they're droids, so they're not really technically alive, but you know. So you have this poster that's pretty cool too. K2SO is obviously going to be introduced to Cassian in this second season. Foreshadowing, maybe. Some people think that K2 is going to end up having B2's mind put into him. So they're sort of the same. They're one and the same. I can see it happening, but I guess only time will tell. Now, John brought up a good point. This rebel word here is written very similarly to Star Wars rebels. Let me show you what we're talking about here. Star Wars rebels. So when you look at this, you look at this rebels, It's not exactly the same, but it is pretty similar. Obviously, it's the same freaking word, but when you got all these different sort of, actually, it's the opposite. These are all going sideways, and these are coming down on the other one. So it's a little bit different, but still. The theory is that we will see members of the Rebels crew in the second season, but I don't know. We'll see. There's another poster with Cassian, where it's better. What do you mean? What? I wasn't on board with that theory before, but this poster, I know. I wasn't really either. That B2's consciousness or whatever is going to be put into K2, but yeah, it's possible. It's very, very possible. Yeah. I don't know. It's possible. Yeah, there's another poster. Where's this other poster? Somebody send it to the Discord. Somebody send it to the Discord. Oh, yeah, if you guys are not yet in the Discord, there's a link in the description below to a Discord called The People Who Love Star Wars. Go join it immediately. Oh. No, that's just the same poster. That's the same poster. Huh. Okay. Never mind then. That's just a zoomed in version of the other poster. But having said that, those are the only things that we have in terms of Andor Season 2, which is pretty damn wild because this show is in less than 2.5 months. Now, will we get a new trailer soon? Probably. But it's sort of a matter of when. The Super Bowl, maybe. Probably not, though. And then we'll have to go from there. But there is something pretty interesting in terms of, well, let's just talk Andor Season 2 first. Yeah. Andor Season 2 is less than 2.5 months away. Where is the trailer? Andor will probably go rescue Mon Mothma after she gives a speech condemning the Gorman massacre and starts being hunted. Well, by the time of Rogue One, and by the time of the original trilogy, Mon Mothma is with the rebellion because she's obviously can't be a part of the Senate anymore. The Senate is pretty much destroyed or gotten rid of by the time of the original trilogy. So Mon is now full rebel and is not with the Senate any longer. So that has to sort of be shown in Andor Season 2, which is really cool because we don't know much about this second season. We do and we don't. We think we do. We know Krennic's going to be in it. We know K2 is going to be in it. We know each 3-episode arc is going to be 1 year. But that's about it. Like, we don't know much about it at all. Yeah, we need a trailer. At this point, we just need a trailer. Yeah. Cassian stole the tie trailer, Mike. Well, that's not really a trailer. That was what's coming in 2025 for Disney Plus shows. And it gave us like one scene of Andor. Well, it also gave us like The Bear and all these other shows that are coming in 2025. Yeah. She gives a speech and becomes wanted around 2 BBY, so technically it would be the third arc of the show. Yeah, probably. It'll be later on in the season for sure. Yeah. I need to catch up on your watch parties. I haven't seen Andor since it released. Yeah. Well, we're doing, of course, members-only watch parties for Andor Season 1. But Andor Season 1 has a lot of things that sort of people forget about how good it really is. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Andor was better for the second time around. I think, yeah, probably for me too. Because Andor is a slow burn. The first 3 episodes are slow. It's a slow start. But we watched the first episode on Sunday with the members, and I mean, once you know what comes next, you're anticipating it, but it's a lot of establishing these characters, and you have to establish them. You have to establish what's going on. You have to establish this whole world, this whole brand new world and brand new characters. It takes a while, but it works well that way, you know? We just got that one new shot off a Disney big game ad. I think they'll only show new footage for every show. Oh, you're saying like they'll give every new show coming in 2025 type thing again with Andor giving a sneak peek? That'd be kind of cool. But I want a full-on trailer. Yeah. Yeah. Darth Raccoon, what's up? Mike, have you ever played TLU? TLU. I don't know what TLU stands for. Is it Star Wars related? The Titan. I have no idea. So I can't tell you. Yeah. When has John Boyega ever shown his love for Star Wars? I don't think he's a fan. Oh, that is so incorrect. He's a big time fan. He's a diehard. If you ever watch, go watch interviews of him talking about Star Wars. Yeah. Last of Us. Oh, Last of Us. Last of Us, I've seen the show. I've not played the games, though. Yeah. Yeah. I've not played the games. But I've seen the show, and the show's really good. Season 2 comes out pretty soon, huh? This year? Yeah. Luthen is such a great character as well. Luthen is my favorite character in Andor Season 1. The problem is he's definitely going to die in the second season. Like, definitely. Yeah. Tony with a very generous $10 holla, Tony. I appreciate that quite a bit. Holy crap. Very, very generous. Says, impression of SM33 malfunctioning, telling the kids he told me to pull them limb by limb. Along with standing up and getting your arms to extend? Oh, like when his arms kind of go like this? Well, first of all, I can't do the second half of that, but I can give you the first half. Okay. SM33, limb from limb. Let's see it.
Knock it off. 33. Where's Ann?
Can't say I remember no at it.
What are you doing?
Let's just take a second
Droids do it.
to remember how great this show was. Like, we're only a few weeks removed from Skeleton Crew. Doesn't get enough credit for how good it was.
They're told. What if he can't say because he was ordered?
Killed any of his crew that saw the coordinates.
There now, right?
Pull them apart.
Oh.
Give me the blaster.
He told me to pull them apart.
He told me to pull them apart. Not pretty bad.
Pull them apart. Pull them apart.
Pull them apart.
Pull them apart.
Limb from limb.
Limb from limb. I didn't even know my voice could go that low. Limb from limb. That's pretty good.
I'm the captain, and I order you to stop!
Limb from limb.
Wait!
Limb from limb.
Hey! Leave him alone!
Yeah, Neil. Yeah, so I mean, I think I gotta go rewatch Skeleton Crew now. That just made me so happy and excited. Like, that was awesome. Yeah, no, Skeleton Crew might go down as one of the most underrated shows of all time. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But Tony, I appreciate it. $10 is very, very generous. I appreciate it. Who's ready for Daredevil Born Again? Comes out March 4th. Very, very soon. Yeah, that's right around the corner, huh? Interesting. Huh. That's crazy. Daredevil Born Again. I kind of want to rewatch the first 3 seasons of Daredevil on Netflix, but I might not have enough time for that. Yeah. Yeah. Andor season 2, Daredevil Born Again, Last of Us season 2 this spring. Let's go. Yeah, it's a pretty wild time to be a fan of just fun stuff. Like last week, did anybody watch, or this week I should say, did anybody watch the Fantastic Four trailer? Fantastic Four, Jurassic World trailer, the Superman, Jurassic World, and Fantastic Four all come out a few weeks away from each other in July of this year. Next weekend, a week from today actually, is Captain America: Brave New World, which keeps looking better and better and better. Like one of the most recent trailers mentions adamantium, which we kind of knew was coming, but it's still pretty damn cool. I know we're not talking Star Wars, but it's still awesome. So for fans of just nerdy stuff, it's going to be quite the year. 2025 is going to be an insane year for Star Wars fans, but also for fans of Marvel and all these other things. Yeah. And Thunderbolts, yes, Thunderbolts is in May too. Yeah, you're getting crazy. Yeah. Pretty cool. All right, but I do have to get on out of here. I'm going to end this poll. And that. Huge shout outs to Darth Plagueis Lives for the very generous, and Tony for the very generous super chats. And Dom for becoming a member. I appreciate it. Member chats, super chats, keep the lights on over here, so I appreciate it. And are you more excited now for the Rey movie? 53% of you say yes, so that's pretty cool. The fact that the news today from Oscar Isaac to George Nolfi gets you more excited for the movie is pretty damn cool. Pretty damn cool. Seems like my pockets are going to be empty this year. Yeah, a lot of going to the movies. A lot of going to the movies for sure. But until then, smash a freaking like on the stream if you have not already. Watch out for a short at 5 tonight. And we'll be, of course, keeping it going. Keeping the party going. Go keep the conversation going in the Discord. If you're not yet already in that Discord, there's a link in the description below. To the people who love Star Wars, go join it immediately. And yeah. May the Force be with you. Always. Oh yeah, what a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. I appreciate you all so much more than you will ever know. This was quite the stream. I mean, we talked about everything and anything. From the Acolyte, to the Dawn of the Jedi, to Andor Season 2, to the Mandalorian Grogu movie, to the Rey movie, to Star Wars Celebration. Like, we talked about everything. Crazy. But it was a blast. But until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your lives, and good night, everybody.